Be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness. Be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. To this end I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until Buddhahood. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until death. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from today until tomorrow at this time. All sentient beings equal to the ends of space take refuge in the nature of all the body, speech, minds, qualities, and activities of those thus gone in the 10 directions and 3 times, the wellspring of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, the sovereign of all the noble Sanghas, the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma, protectors, and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma, protectors, and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma, protectors, and guardians with the wisdom eye. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddhas all. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step, I'll train myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, take refuge in the Buddhas all. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step, I'll train myself like so. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddhas all. In the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge. Just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening. And in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell. Just so for the benefit of beings I too bring to birth awakened mind. And in each and every training thus, step by step, I'll train myself like so. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening. By the merit of my deeds like generosity, may I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion to near and far. By prostrating, offering, and confessing thus, by rejoicing, urging, supplicating too, any little virtue that I have amassed, all I dedicate for full awakening. This ground daubed with fragrant water, with flowers strewn, is adorned by Meru, four lands, by sun and moon. Seeing this to be a Buddha field, I offer it. May all beings experience this utterly pure land. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Pudza Mega Samudra Tsaparana Samaye Ahong. Now the Bodhisattva practices together. Homage to Lokeshvara. I pay constant homage through my three doors to my supreme teacher and protector, Chenrezig, who, while seeing all phenomena and lacks coming and going, makes single-minded effort for the good of living beings. Perfect Buddha's source of all well-being and happiness arise from accomplishing the excellent teachings, and this depends on knowing the practices. So I will explain the practices of bodhisattvas. Having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, here think and meditate unwaveringly night and day, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. By avoiding objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease. Without distraction, virtuous activities naturally increase. With clarity of mind, conviction in the teachings arises. Cultivate seclusion. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Loved ones who have long kept company will part. Wealth created with difficulty will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body. Let go of this life. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When you keep their company, your three poisons increase. Your activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating decline, and they make you lose your love and compassion. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When you rely on them, your faults come to an end, and your good qualities grow like the waxing moon. Cherish spiritual teachers even more than your own body. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Bound himself in the jail of cyclic existence, what worldly god can give you protection? Therefore, when you seek refuge, take refuge in the three jewels which will not betray you. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. The subduer said, all the unbearable suffering of bad rebirth is the fruit of wrongdoing. Therefore, even at the cost of your own life, never do wrong. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Like dew on the tip of a blade of grass, pleasures of the three worlds last only a while and then vanish. Aspire to the never-changing supreme state of liberation. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When your mothers who've loved you since time without beginning are suffering, what use is your own happiness? Therefore, to free limitless living beings, develop the altruistic intention. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. All suffering comes from the wish for your own happiness. Perfect Buddhas are born from the thought to help others. Therefore, exchange your own happiness for the suffering of others. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Even if someone, out of strong desire, steals all your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him your body, possessions, and all your virtue, past, present, and future. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Even if someone tries to cut off your head when you haven't done the slightest thing wrong, out of compassion take all his misdeeds upon yourself. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Even if someone broadcasts kinds of unpleasant remarks about you throughout the 3,000 worlds, in return with a loving mind speak of his good qualities. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Though someone may deride and speak bad words about you in a public gathering, looking on him as a spiritual teacher, bow to him with respect. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Even if a person for whom you've cared like your own child regards you as an enemy, cherish him specially like a mother does her child who is stricken with sickness. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. If an equal or inferior person disparages you out of pride, place him as you would your spiritual teacher, with respect on the crown of your head. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Though you lack what you need and are constantly disparaged, afflicted by dangerous sickness and spirits, without discouragement take on the misdeeds and the pain of all living beings. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Though you become famous and many bow to you, and you gain riches to equal Vaishravanas, see that worldly fortune is without essence and be unconceited. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. While the enemy of your own anger is unsubdued, though you conquer external foes, they will only increase. Therefore, with the militia of love and compassion, subdue your own mind. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Sensual pleasures are like salt water. The more you indulge, the more thirst increases. Abandon at once those things which breed clinging attachment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Whatever appears is your own mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. Understanding this, do not take to mind inherent signs of subject and object. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When you encounter attractive objects, though they seem beautiful like a rainbow in summer, don't regard them as real and give up attachment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. All forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. Holding illusory appearances to be true makes you weary. Therefore, when you meet with disagreeable circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. When those who want enlightenment must give even their body, there is no need to mention external things. Therefore, without hope for return or any fruition, give generously. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Without ethics, you can't accomplish your own well-being, so wanting to accomplish others is laughable. Therefore, without worldly aspirations, safeguard your ethical discipline. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. To bodhisattvas who want a wealth of virtue, those who harm are like a precious treasure. Therefore, towards all, cultivate patience without hostility. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Seeing even hearers and solitary realizers who accomplish only their own good, strive as if to put out a fire on their head. For the sake of all beings, make enthusiastic effort, the source of all good qualities. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Understanding that disturbing emotions are destroyed by special insight with calm abiding, cultivate concentration which surpasses the four formless absorptions. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Since the five perfections without wisdom cannot bring perfect enlightenment, along with skillful means, cultivate the wisdom which does not conceive the three spheres as real. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. If you don't examine your own errors, you may look like a practitioner but not act as one. Therefore, always examining your own errors, rid yourself of them. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. If through the influence of disturbing emotions you point out the faults of another bodhisattva, you yourself are diminished. So don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Reward and respect cause us to quarrel and make hearing, thinking, and meditation decline. For this reason, give up attachment to the households of friends, relations, and benefactors. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Harsh words disturb the minds of others and cause deterioration in a bodhisattva's conduct. Therefore, give up harsh words which are unpleasant to others. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. Habitual disturbing emotions are hard to stop through counteractions. Armed with antidotes, the guards of mindfulness and mental alertness destroy disturbing emotions like attachment at once as soon as they arise. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. In brief, whatever you are doing, ask yourself, what's the state of my mind? With constant mindfulness and mental alertness, accomplish others' good. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. To remove the suffering of limitless beings, understanding the purity of the three spheres, dedicate the virtue for making such effort to enlightenment. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. For all who want to train on the bodhisattva path, I have written the 37 practices of bodhisattvas, following what has been said by the excellent ones on the meaning of the sutras, tantras, and treatises. Though not poetically pleasing to scholars, owing to my poor intelligence and lack of learning, I have relied on the sutras and the words of the excellent, so I think these bodhisattva practices are without error. However, as the great deeds of bodhisattvas are hard to fathom for one of my poor intelligence, I beg the excellent to forgive all faults, such as contradictions and non sequiturs. Through the virtue from this, may all living beings gain the ultimate, conventional, altruistic intention, and thereby become like the protector Chenrezig, who dwells in neither extreme, not in the world, nor in peace. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Zhuravka, can you hear us? Can we hear you? She might be on the live stream. She'll be here. All right. Okay, that's good. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Yeah. I had a couple of thoughts this morning, and one is, we've been particularly fortunate because we've had what's called Tibetan Buddhism kind of dawn on us, And when they talk about the 84,000, different teachings, if you're like me, it can be completely overwhelming. Buddha said that when he passed away, that he would live in the letters, meaning in the written text, or in that case they weren't written, they were oral tradition. But in other words, in the words, in the Dharma. And I've always felt kind of sincere in my intention to kind of save my own skin, And yet it took, a couple of decades before I came across the Dharma in this way, with this vast teachings. And it can be overwhelming, because how do you get a handle on this? We weren't introduced into this stream of learning as children and through our educational system. Talking to a professor this week, who was asked to teach Buddhism, and now suddenly some of the administrators are saying, she needs to be teaching less Buddhism. This is our culture. We have something really that's kind of profound like Hatha Yoga, and we turn it into exercise, We tend to do that. So similarly with meditation. So all of Buddhism really can be reduced to three excellences. One is ethics, and then it usually says meditation, and then it says wisdom. But that meditation in Sanskrit is actually samadhi. So it's more than just meditating, it's samadhi. Wisdom erupts, you might say, or is revealed by samadhi. And samadhi is based on ethics. So the ethics, if you think it starts there, whatever Buddhist tradition you're talking about, that's the process that's going on. It starts fundamentally in your life, in your activity, with the ethics. Because if you're constantly stirring up the pot and making difficulties for yourself and others, you're never going to have the calmness out of which samadhi can only come. So this samadhi, sama means even or continuous or undistracted in Sanskrit. And di is the seed syllable of wisdom. So when you're in an undistracted state, this is what we're sort of striving for in our meditation. And I have some notes here from the Dalai Lama that comments that he made in Washington, D.C. in 2011. And these are his comments on meditation in the preliminary teachings that he gave at a Kalachakra empowerment. Okay? It says the wisdom arising from meditation, that's, again, samadhi. All our work of mindfulness and awareness is to attain samadhi, out of which this profound wisdom can come. The Dalai Lama, the wisdom arising from meditation is not only through investigation, but from familiarization, so that it is something living. In other words, we're talking about experience. And I have to say that, even the experience of frustration in meditation, I think is positive, because it's actually a case of purification going on. You're experiencing your purification. You're like revving up your purification, you might say. It's like in a fast or something. So this is all very, very, very wonderful. I mean, if you think of any kind of a worldly accomplishment, take Franklin Roosevelt. How much effort went into his life, including getting struck with polio and being Secretary of the Navy and fights with his family and governor of New York and just all sorts of things. How much effort resulted in being president of the United States? Now, all that stuff we understand in a worldly way, somehow that was all necessary. Well, so too in our meditation. People too easily become discouraged because we're such perfectionists. But it said if you throw the dart 100 times and on the 100th time you hit the bullseye, were those 99 wasted? No, they weren't. They were necessary. You're gaining the skill. You're purifying the wrong techniques that you have. All of this. And so too with our meditation. It's all positive. Because the alternative is just living in this state of distraction without no attempt to be mindful, no attempt to be aware. All right, so Dalai Lama continues. Wisdom arising from meditation is not only through investigation, but from familiarization, so that it is something living. It automatically develops, and that is the counterforce to mental afflictions. In order to achieve that, our mind must be controlled, not by force, but by mental effort, which only comes voluntarily, never through force. This single-pointed mind you call shamatha is common in India for thousands of years in all traditions, a common practice. Now, the main method for single-pointed meditation is the cultivation of mindfulness and introspection. So he's saying introspection instead of the Sanskrit word of vipassana, or latong in Tibetan, which means like true seeing. The main method for single-pointed meditation is the cultivation of mindfulness and introspection. Here, mindfulness means that the object in which your mind concentrates is thoroughly held. That means the image or picture of that must be held in mind. And that means mindfulness. Then, not only that, but the mind must be very sharp, fully alert. If the object is a bit hazy and your mind is slack, that is a great danger for proper samadhi. The mind must not only hold the object of your meditation, your mind must be fully alert. You must have a very sharp mind. Whether such obstacles occur or not, you need introspection to monitor that. These two are the main instruments for developing a single-pointed mind. And for that reason, in our daily life, even in our dreams, some sort of mindfulness of what is right must be sustained. Then you watch whether your mental action, your verbal actions, your physical actions go in the wrong direction. Constantly watch. That is training in ethics, a constant watching to see whether your physical action goes in the right direction or not. Constantly check. And likewise for speech. Check whether it goes the right way or not. Among the three trainings, training in ethics is the basis. That develops these two, mindfulness and introspection. Then the second practice is single-pointed mind. Once we experience that, then no matter what we focus on, whether conventional things or mind itself or emptiness, wherever your mind is put, it remains there single-pointedly. That is immensely helpful for penetrating your object of meditation, in this case, emptiness. Those are the three trainings, the main method to achieve moksha or liberation. That is the Theravada tradition and the Bodhisattva tradition, all the same. Without that, you cannot go further. You can train, you can study, you can develop altruism, but you cannot go on the actual path without samadhi, without wisdom. That is how to achieve liberation. When you stop memories about the past and don't let in hopes and visions for the future, then in that moment you get the feeling of nothingness, empty. But that is not emptiness. We are normally so caught up in feelings and images. While you prolong for a little while that sense of emptiness, then you'll get a sense of sheer luminosity. It mirrors appearances, but is itself nothing. It is nothing in particular, but reflects everything. That is the conventional reality of the mind. It is neutral, just pure luminosity. Then concentrate on it as long as you can. Then once that becomes familiar, then take that as an object and further investigate the reality of that. The mind must be designated on the continuation of that experience. So what is the mind? Through further investigation, you can't find it. Then you touch the ultimate reality of the mind. Then to practice something subtler than focusing on an external object, but coarser than focusing on the mind as the object of meditation, it is best to focus on the in and out breath. So single-pointedly concentrate on your breathing, just coming and going. You can count 20, 50, 100 breaths. This is one way of training the mind that is so scattered. This gives it some discipline. As you discipline the mind, you can begin with a coarser object like the breathing and then go to subtler objects. So this process of mindfulness, keeping the object of meditation in our mind. And what happens? There's the obstacle of kind of fuzzing out. The mind becomes less sharp. We forget the object of meditation. When we realize, we bring it back. Or the mind gets too excited. We're on the object of meditation. The next thing you know, you're in a mental argument with your neighbor, and you forget the object of meditation. Bring it back. So with this constant mindfulness, in fact, I'm told the root of the words in both Tibetan and Sanskrit have memory in there, what's called mindfulness, memory. So you're remembering the object of meditation again and again and again. Rinpoche has said it's like there's this alert part of the mind is watching the mindfulness. That's really what we're practicing. He said with development, the mindfulness has been accomplished, isn't necessary, but the state of awareness is there all the time, and we're practicing on that awareness. So this is helpful to understand, too, even with the visualization practices, that process is going on. But here you can see the object of meditation is yourself as the deity. I mean, you can see how sort of challenging that is. Like he suggests here, concentrating on the breath can be very helpful because it's coarse enough that it's easy to focus on it, but it's subtle enough. I mean, it's first of all, it's autonomic. We're not having to. You don't have to remind yourself to breathe. You just do it naturally. So it's a natural process there. It's like halfway between conscious and unconscious, you might say. So it's more subtle. But when you're getting into a visualizing of a deity, wow, it's so slippery. Now, it has tremendous power there. I mean, again, the Tibetans believe, and I think Guru Rinpoche taught, that the tantric methods are for coming to enlightenment in one lifetime. This is mind-boggling to think about it once you start to appreciate Buddha's realization, even in an intellectual way. But at the same time, what is wonderful about it? Well, that visualized image, yourself as the deity with all the accoutrements, with the surrounding mandala, with all the figures and everything, what you're standing on, all the surrounding figures, everything. Yeah, it's very vast. But the wonderful thing about it is every aspect of it is sacred. So in other words, if you focus on, Tara's eyebrow, you're doing the practice. And Garambache has taught that the seed syllable, for instance, is the entire deity. Everything's there. So you don't have to get discouraged by, oh my goodness, I don't see this whole big, vast visualization. You're still practicing mindfulness of an object of meditation. But now the genius of the Tantra, in my particular, I think, correct conceptual view, is that because those figures are sacred, they're not something that's been conceptualized or made up by some, creative artist or teacher, but rather it is the Sambhogakaya. It is our profound mind, you might say, our mind of luminosity. So therefore, the vipassana is simply the attention to and the experience of that deity itself. So you have mindfulness, you have shamatha and vipassana together. And this is why it's said to be fast, because normally we're practicing virtue and we get the results. So there's this kind of like gap, you might say. But technically there's not a gap, it's instantaneous, but it appears to us as a gap because of our level of understanding. So my point here being, though, is that the whole practice, no matter how overwhelming all these teachings may seem, is just simply ethics, samadhi, and wisdom. And samadhi we get to with mindfulness and awareness. And the experience that comes from that, like the Dalai Lama says, is experiential. So when you hear a teacher talking and you've had like years and years of this inner struggle, you faced it. You have wisdom that comes out of your experience. You can't do something and not have a result from it. All the time we meet people in our lives who, have they're not even looking in an inner way. And just to know that the answer lies within, that in itself is such a tremendous liberation. Because you can be like me and be all sort of distracted all the time, but you're no longer giving 100% authority to some outer phenomenon because you've been taught that's mind. And whose mind is it if it isn't mine? So the answer is within. It's like Shantideva said, confronted with suffering, a globe that's covered with thorns, you only have two choices. You can either try to cover the whole globe, the whole earth with leather so you can walk barefoot, or you can just put on a pair of sandals. One is completely practical, completely sensible, but completely ignored. Maybe 99% ignored. And yet there's the answer right for us. But of course, everything comes up with that, the need for our own responsibility, for looking at ourselves, not blaming others. And then, of course, as we go deeper and deeper, we see that even that blaming others is actually us just projecting our own hatred onto someone else. So it's like everyone in the world wants happiness. And everyone's doing things to try to attain happiness, even if you're trying to kill somebody. In a way, you're trying to lessen your own agitation, your own seemingly frustrations, blockages to your happiness, but you're just doing it the wrong way. I think so often of the Buddha coming to that omniscience, Buddhahood, but then hesitating to teach. There's so much wisdom in that. The hesitation to teach, because he just said that the truth is subtle, and human beings will even misuse any teachings that come out of that. 100% right. But he was urged and eventually accepted, the great gods of ancient India. No, you have to teach, because there will be benefit. And truly there has been. But we're the same thing again and again. You see, you look back anywhere you look in history, you just see these same kind of cycles going on, because human beings are confronted with the same problem again, this kind of ego clinging. We're born into this. It comes with our human birth. But the human situation is remarkably powerful, because yes, we have all this suffering and dissatisfaction, but we have enough enough leisure with our minds and understanding and wisdom, even in a reflected way, that we can work on ourselves. It is it's the best platform from which to come to Buddhahood. So this is really, really something, all our sufferings are the stimulation that's necessary for us to overcome our ego clinging. And we have the example of seeing people who have accomplished that. And of course, that's an extremely, extremely valuable thing in our mind stream. We have people in our generation here who, are traditionally trained, traditional understanding. The Dalai Lama's words here, is this amazing? Talking about mindfulness and that. It's so clear. And of course, he says in another part that I didn't read at this point, he said, I've been practicing this for 50 years. So I have a certain kind of feeling, he said. Yeah, no kidding. Anything that you do, it's like when you come across someone who's like very skilled in a particular task, like a weaver or a basketball player, whatever it is. You think how much has gone into their current state of accomplishment. We're no different. We're dealing with the mind. We're dealing with the mind. It's the slipperiest thing going ever. And yet, with discouragement, we have the text that we can rely on. You have teachers that you can rely on. And that's really good. You're purifying through the doubts, through the steps, through the ups and the downs. It's just like throwing that dart 100 times. And for us, these times, I just kind of chuckled too, because there was my daughter as a professor was taking polls of her students as to, some students were saying that it's like it was sort of overwhelming. So many of the teachings and just texts and various things, Jataka tales, for instance, all these wonderful tales that actually Aesop's fables, some of those are Jataka tales. Some have made its way from India through, undoubtedly, Alexander the Great, all the way back to Greece. And something that I had learned, that Aristotle was one of Alexander the Great's teachers. Can you imagine what was going on there karmically? Hard to imagine, but nonetheless. So in this class, with various things that the students could be reading, various texts, and asking students, well, if it seems kind of overwhelming, what would you eliminate? And one of the students said, maybe we shouldn't read about Buddha's life. This is the blind leading the blind. It's just so amazing, our culture. So amazing. As you know, I love the work that Edward Kanzi has done. His book is from 1964. And when you read about it, it's culturally, we're the same now as we were then. Yes, I know, I don't know who was it, was Eisenhower and Kennedy, whoever was in, Lyndon Johnson, whoever, we think there are all these changes going on. But the mind and cultures are very powerful, very, very powerful things. And he writes, this is 1964, and he had the advantage, I think, of one being European. So Europeans have a certain kind of, distance and therefore perspective, perhaps, on American culture. It's just the way it goes. And vice versa. We see European in a way that maybe they don't see some things themselves because of the distance, the intellectual distance. And he was all involved in all sorts of revolutionary thought and things like that. And so much so that his family had to flee Nazi Germany. They were in big trouble. And then he stumbled onto, who knows how, talk about karma, an interest in Sanskrit. And that led to reading and then translating the whole range of the perfection of wisdom teachings. The nub of the perfection of wisdom is the mantra Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. In this other piece that I didn't read from the Dalai Lama, he says this Gate Gate means go. Go, go, go beyond. Go beyond, beyond. Hail the goer. That's what it means. But he says without samadhi, there's no going. So it's up to us to be training ourselves And not just to be, you see in this country now, just like happened with Hatha Yoga, suddenly it turns from a profound spiritual path into just sort of an exercise routine for whomever or Hollywood, who knows. But similar things happening with mindfulness now. Our culture grabs onto things, right? Mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. And now suddenly there's a backlash having against mindfulness because they find someone with some, serious psychological problems who is doing mindfulness and then goes off the deep end. And of course they blame mindfulness. That's just how it works. And similarly, there are evangelical Christians now have suddenly woken up to the fact that mindfulness is actually a religious practice coming from Buddhism and Hinduism, especially Buddhism. And so we just have to oppose it for those reasons alone. This is what happens. But for us, the mindfulness is a kind of rough practice of awareness. It's getting our mind to abide in the aware aspect. And with mindfulness, it means that it's not perfect. We're doing this artificial thing of having an object of meditation and concentrating on that. But of course, it's the awareness that catches us when we're off. So the whole thing is awareness, actually. But it's a dose that we can handle in our distracted state. And by doing it, the mind becomes purified. Mindfulness becomes stronger and stronger and stronger until it's like the Dalai Lama says, one-pointed meditation or samadhi. And this is the stable. It's like that example that's given of our Buddha nature, the awareness of our Buddha nature. It's like the full moon shining. And it's shining down on a lake, but the surface of that lake is totally agitated by our afflictive emotions, by our distractions, our conceptual mind. And so the water is agitated. And so we don't experience the full moon as it is. We see it all broken up into the 84,000 aspects of appearances. And we're trying. There's something in us that knows. We feel that inner harmony, that inner rightness. But yet, we're in our own ways, we're trying to calm the waters. But there's only one way of calming the water, and that is mindfulness. And mindfulness appears in various ways. I mean, it can be visualizing yourself as Tara. Or it can be single-pointed concentration on the mantra. It can be sort of an indescribable kind of natural devotion. So all these things are very powerful. What's great about the Dharma is that it's like guidelines. So when we get off with our natural urges, which can be very positive, but, they're untrained. And so gradually there's this training. This is like every time that wild shoot goes off in the wrong direction, the gardener just pulls it back just a little bit. And eventually you get this beautiful, climbing bush, putting out all these beautiful roses. So we can do it because we are it. You cannot fail. The idea that we're failing is just an idea too. We're so extremely fortunate. So this, here's Kanze. This is 1964. And he's an academic, right? He never took any kind of a tenure position because he didn't want all the administrative stuff. So he traveled around to different universities. And, of course, he had this tremendous accomplishment of all his commentaries and having translated the full range. I mean, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 100,000 verses, in 10,000 verses, 40,000 verses. The Heart Sutra, which is like one page. Just translating the letter Ah, that is the perfection of wisdom. So when Garinpoche has us doing with Zhuravka on Wednesday nights, the Vajra recitation, the Om, Ah, Hung, it's all there. The Om is the Dharmakaya, the Ah is the Sambhogakaya, and the Hung is Nirmanakaya. Like Lama Tarchin says, give it to me right here, right now. The profundity and the wisdom of these things, again, because it's not thought up by some charismatic person, but rather this has been there for 2,500 years, at least in the human realm, and before, at any rate. So Kanze was saying as a professor type, in 1964, he says it's just so, he didn't say painful, but somehow it just strikes him as so odd that oceans, he says, of academic ink have been spilled writing about every kind of tiny, strange, foreign culture all over the world. And yet, at this time, seemingly everybody is dissatisfied. And we're all kind of like Paul Gauguin, wanting to find Tahiti, where we can go and find some respite from kind of the roughness of modernity. And yet at this time, although oceans of ink have been spilled investigating every culture everywhere, somehow the academic world is majorly uninterested in the Mahayana, where Kanze says the answer lies, and where I believe the answer lies. So it is this paradoxical kind of thing. We have something like Hatha Yoga, some come here, and then we kind of pervert it for our own ends. We have something profound as mindfulness, but nobody's really interested in going too far with it. And then we're just going to say, well, it makes me calmer and I can make more money or something. I mean, it's like that saying, when a pickpocket meets a saint, all he sees are pockets. We are limited by our perception. And so the greatness of the Bodhisattva vow is that it's vast. All of a sudden, it's vast. And even though we see, I mean, you've heard me talk about my first Vajrasattva weekend retreat, visualizing Vajrasattva and all the sentient beings, and you're doing this for hours and hours and hours over a long weekend. And at the end, I'd been taught to dissolve the visualization. When I went to dissolve the visualization, there weren't any sentient beings there. This is who I was supposedly practicing for, right? So we see our limitations, but that is good because we're seeing it. The ordinary person thinks they all want world peace, and in a way they do. There was an American who went to Japan in the early 1950s and was going around to different temples, monasteries, and sat in on at a Zen temple. And they have a verse that all these monks lined up sitting in this meditation hall that they chant, if I can remember. All beings without number I vow to liberate, endless blind passions I vow to uproot, the Dharma gates, I can't remember it all, sorry. The great way of Buddha I vow to attain. So, this bodhicitta, and this knowledgeable, thoroughly educated, but kind of skeptical, cynical, sardonic Westerner says to the teacher, do they really believe that? And the teacher said, not in the beginning. That's it. We're on this path. The incredible thing is being on the path, because the path works. The path goes somewhere instead of just, what did we do with our life, wheel of life that we had up for the Jewish kids? Instead of just going around and around and around in circles, you look at that wheel of life. You got people going up and you got people falling down. Instead, there's a path. Yes, it's also a pathless path, but that means that it's vast. It's not pathless path in the sense that we don't need a path. In fact, we need a path. And we start to see, like William Blake said, infinity in a grain of sand. This is a situation. Everything is beyond expression, truly. But to even know that is to be on the path. Okay. So we've got Kempo this morning is down in New York City. He's continuing his tour. I think, is it today, Gretch? They're doing something. The Drikung people in New York City are doing something for Garum Pache's 90th birthday also.
I think they did that last week.
Last week. Oh, they were, giving Kempo some recognition in Queens this morning, I guess. So that's happening. And Dave just said that Lama Dawa is on live stream with us. That's wonderful. We're going to be doing Zambala practice this morning. And I just wanted to mention, too, just as further elucidation, when in the 37 practices where it says, I can't remember where's the verse talking about, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, verse 19. Though you become famous and many bow to you, and you gain riches to equal Vaishravanas. Vaishravana is Jambala. So that's the Sanskrit name. They're all on the same team, right? All right, so we'll take our break, and then we'll come back and do the Jambala practice together. Okay. Yeah, I will. We'll announce. Oh. He's been all over the place.
I know.
Really.
Yeah, how old was he when he became a little monk?
I think he was 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, 7.
We just watched this movie on live stream that our friends recommended called The Boy Who Thought He Was 100 Years Old.
Oh?
And it's about a reincarnated Lama, and so he becomes a monk at 5.
Yeah.
And then it's just trying to get indoctrinated into like a monastery that will accept him as a Rinpoche
Uh-huh.
and educate him, kind of thing. But it's just an amazing story, and there's like this one Lama that takes him in and is his teacher, but he's an older man, quite old, quite a bit older, and just their quest to like get to Tibet, it's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, it's on live stream on YouTube. The problem is when you watch it on YouTube, there's a lot
They
of
interrupt
ads.
the ads, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and there's quite a few ads, but yeah.
So is it modern, like in a refugee situation?
Well, it was supposed to be 2000, like when he gets to be 12, and he's, as you're watching through his quest, that was 2016, I
Uh-huh.
believe. So it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
So now, I think it's supposed to be a true story. Now I guess he would only be 22.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty modern.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a challenge,
Right.
politically,
Yeah.
because
Right, yeah.
you're out of Tibet, but your monastery's in Tibet. Yeah, I think Garmache was also 7, maybe 5, even.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I thought
They
he
first
was
took him.
probably pretty young.
But when I opened it up, it was $25 in there. All right, well, close enough. And I'm gonna ask him if I can use my drill. 'Cause, do you have a preference?
I don't think better.
Yeah. I like your, though the one that don't is light, I don't know if it's a nice thing for it. And I have some good ones that you, but yours don't.
Is that mezcal or tequila? I know how you calm your mind.
Oh, now you're grasping. I'm not attached. No, no. I'm not attached, but I'm gonna go get one. I could decide not. Oh. Yeah, we continued, there was people asking questions, but no one made the microphone. So it was like, when the answer was said, oh, okay, maybe that's what they're asking. Wasn't really sure. Yeah, there was somebody was with the high schoolers, right? Sophomore. Catholic, don't go working in the world. Oh, they were from the same. Well, that's cool. Well, when I was kids were both in the class, one of them was compared to the other. They studied Buddhism. I found take his seat on
No, not yet. There's
yeah.
he's something like that. I just like
And I said
when
something.
did you move in there? They want to rip you off. It's just like they were just taking everything. I didn't realize. But I'm gonna go to a local place.
And I said, hey, what do you want to do?
Yeah, they were mentioning all these things that weren't even legal.
So that's how I got introduced.
I have your car. Shame how are you? I hear that's true about Yeah, sadly. Yeah. No, it really sucks actually. The life causes that serious worries. But oh well. Yeah. Wow.
Well, we'll catch up. I gotta
Thank you.
yeah.
I know you must.
Hopefully we'll
Yeah. Are you really?
I've been planning on planning.
It stinks though, 'cause I'm not sure if I'm doing like streaming. Because like for you, I just want computers aren't coming up anymore.
I might have one I can give you.
Really? Wow. Yeah, we try to get the kids to like, you know what, you don't have to have like phones or computers. You can actually listen to CDs discs.
We'll talk. I'll make sure I do that. That'll give me motivation to actually change them.
Thanks. And how you feeling about that?
There's something organized like renting
Need for you probably are there. Big parent running out there.
We're trying to wake up Charlie.
Charlie. Zhuravka, do you want to be the umze?
Actually, do you have anyone to be umzezer?
I think
Right now, I'm not actually in a situation to lead.
you're not what?
You are not. I'm not prepared to lead the practice right now. Do you have anyone to lead the practice?
It turns out I gave her the wrong information on the text, and she's never done this. They were gone, I think, the first time when you did it last month. And then I told her this was Rainfall of Blessings. It was in that, but it's not.
Oh, okay. So maybe then, just a
So she
second.
didn't practice it. She didn't have anything to practice with. Or
So, but then, do you have rainfall? So maybe because I'm not. I'm really not in situation to lead right now, so I was not expecting that. Um,
so yeah, we could do Rainfall. We could do the. I mean that's the white Zambala.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we wouldn't have the one that from Treat Sovereign Piche that.
Mm-hmm. So then we can see. Maybe I will lead like next week online because yeah, right now I'm sorry I was not just
No, it's not your fault. It's totally my fault.
no, it's fine. So we can I can lead like Zambala practice some of other weeks, and maybe now we can do just rainfall.
Yeah, and she can. And yeah, you're Stephanie. Where are you? You're fine with rainfall. Yeah, the abundance. So it's not the smoke offering, but the next one. Yeah, yeah. She was prepared for that one. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
so we'll just.
Yeah, sorry for miscommunication. So we
Do you
can
want?
do that Zambala like other week,
I mean, we
and
can read through the Zambala text in English.
yeah, the two
We'll do that.
the two can be.
Okay, so we'll just do that. And maybe do you remember the melody um, for the mantra?
For the mantra.
Yeah,
Okay, just let me. I'm just like right now. Uh, just a
it's okay.
second.
It's the whole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, Frank can just read through it, and then
Mm-hmm. Maybe yeah. So now.
Stephanie will come in on the. There's what? Okay. Okay. Thanks. Sorry about that.
If I can find the text, that is.
And I guess the visualization's in here, right? So it's going to kind
Yeah.
of guide us when you're reading in English.
Yeah.
To know exactly how to visualize.
Yeah. Summoning good fortune. Here it is. This one, right, Gretch? Is that the text we're using?
We need rainfall of blessings for people here.
We're doing that too?
What are we
I thought we were doing Shambhala. Doing both?
doing? Jambala, and then we're doing abundance from rainfall of blessings.
Okay.
Because that's also from Zambala text.
Okay. We can pass it out. I'll get it.
Sonia, could you go over here and see this one on top of Stephanie's? The rainfall benefit of happiness? Yes. It's probably down here. Oh, they're in the office.
Yeah, it's in the off like this one, right?
I don't see it here.
You're looking for the text.
This in English, and then do a short part of the other one, the abundance something or other portion. Should I pass out the pictures of the Zambala?
Sure. You got it. If you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you get an extra? Okay, so pass these three down, then you take one and then. Oh, Gretchen is going to extra. For Gretchen, too. I guess there's not that many. That's almost like that this year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I know. I know. I don't know what's going on. It's all right. It's okay. Here they come. Here come the texts.
Okay, I can pass it out then. Frank, you have it right.
I have it. Thank you. So, Gretchen, what are we doing in what order? Gretchen? Which one's that? Yeah. Okay. And it's on page 63, right? Summoning good fortune? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll read Shambhala and you'll do summoning good fortune? Okay. Everybody put on your seatbelts. We're finally together. Oh, and I see where the wheel of life went. It's now living in the back, smiling over all of us. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the Shambhala. Together. Om Shunyata Jana Vajra Svabhava Atma Ko Hang. All phenomenon included within the grasped objects and grasping subjects of phenomena and their natures naturally become the very nature of the sublime, blissful luminosity of great emptiness. From the state of emptiness, in the center of a vast protection wheel, is a multicolored water-borne lotus and sun. On that is a yellow Zam syllable. From that my nature appears as Shambhala, who is like the color of gold and endowed with a wrathful and delighted expression. With his right hand he holds a bijapura fruit, and with his left hand he holds a mongoose that rains down a shower of precious jewels. He has a crown of the 5 Buddhas and is adorned by a necklace of blue utpala flowers and many precious jewels. He is enveloped in many clothes made from the substances of the gods. His feet are pressed upon a great treasure vase with a conch shell top and a lotus chest. At his forehead is a white Om, at his throat is a red Ah, at his heart center is a blue Hung. From these 3 multicolored light rays emanate and invite the assembly of primordial wisdom beings and empowerment deities to the space in front. Om Vajra Pushpe Praticha Soha. Om Vajra Dupe Praticha Soha. Om Vajra Aloke Praticha Soha. Om Vajra Soha. Om Vajra Nevidye Praticha Soha. Za Hung Bam Ho. Samayastam Om Ah Hung. Thus, the primordial wisdom and commitment beings become non-dual. By praying to the empowerment deities, Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishinchkatu Mam, the empowerment deities holding precious vases filled with streams of nectar bestow the empowerment. Om Sarva Tathagata Abhishekata Samaya Shriye Hung. The nectar fills the body and purifies defilements. The excess liquid overflows and becomes a crown of the 5 families with the presiding family of the deity in the center. The empowerment deities dissolve into me. Om Zambala Jalandraye Saparivara Argam Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraya Saparivara Padyam Praticha Soha. Om Zambala Jalandraya Saparivara Pushpe Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraya Saparivara Dupe Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraya Saparivara Aloke Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraya Saparivara Gande Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandhara Saparivara Nevidya Praticha Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraya Saparivara Shabda Praticha Soha. Lord of wealth, master of precious treasures, surrounded by a retinue of many wealth-guarding yakshas, protector who guards the northern direction, Jambala, I pay homage and sing praise to the wealth deity who grants the supreme accomplishment. In the heart center upon a lotus and moon is a zam, the seed syllable of the deity. Around it is a yellow mantra garland, the color of the deity. As it circles, light emanates. This makes offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and gathers their blessings. It purifies the negative deeds and obscurations of all the sentient beings of the 3 realms and establishes them in the state beyond sorrow. It accomplishes all the enlightened activities. The light gathers back and dissolves into the mantra garland together with the seed syllable. Om Zambala Jalandraye Soha. Om Jambala 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 Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraye Soha. Om Jambala Jalandraye Soha. Jalandraye Soha. The primordial wisdom beings depart to their natural abode. The commitment being, together with the vessel and contents, become the naturally pure, non-conceptual emptiness of the essence of the innate great bliss of luminosity. By this merit, may all sentient beings of the 3 realms swiftly attain the primordial wisdom of the Tathagatas. Okay. And now the summoning good fortune.
Okay, summoning good fortune, page 63, in the Rainfall of Blessings text. Rainfall of benefit and happiness. Humri in the watch and pure land of perfect happiness, even the name of sorrows unknown. Amitayus grant long life, regard me kind-heartedly, in Potala pure land of perfect compassion. Even 5 poisons names don't exist. Chenrezig, hold me with love. Grant me the supreme city in lotus light, pure land of Vidyadhara's deathless life. Even misery's names are gone. Lotus born, grant your blessings. Skyfaring rainbow body. Nifest joy, land of perfect bliss, even the names for confused hate don't exist. Vajrasattva, grant blessings, mirror like wisdom city, in glory endowed land of perfect splendor. Even names for confused pride don't exist. Ratna Sambhava, bestow equanimity, wisdom, and day watch and pure land of great happiness. Even names for confused desire are gone. Amitabha, bless and grant discerning wisdom city, in fulfilled activity, land of perfect Buddha deeds. There's no words for jealousy. Amoga city, bestow all accomplishing wisdom, in the Yogman Dharma sphere, endowed with 5 perfections. Ignorance does not exist. Vairocana, grant Dharma. Dhatu, wisdom city, grant vital essences of the 5 great mothers and long life. Indemnated Uddiyana, Tokyo draws with Dakinis, grant bliss, emptiness, mastery, fortune of profound mantra, guru who's all phenomena, where all lineage idams dwell. Grant awakening in one life, fortune of Mahamudra, in the sphere of self-display. Dwell ye dams of peace and wrath, grant supreme and common powers, city fulfilling all aims. Sacred sites gather infinite sky dancers, grant ripening liberating powers, fortune of secret mantra, in Dharmakaya's expanse, dwell the lineage lords and kin. Grant enlightened acts increase, 2 stages mantra deity, in all taming Tulku sphere. Dwell Mahakala and court, grant subjugating city, fortune of enlightened acts. Humri in Vaishravana's abode, dwells the wealth god Zambala, who acts kindly for all beings. Master of life, merit, wealth, food and fortune with your court. Don't waver from your heart pledge. Think of us compassionately. Bring your long life fortune. Bring here fortune of cattle, fortune of swift horses, and wealth of wish-granting livestock. The fortune of fertile sheep and of herd animals, fortune of goats and zo's best cattle, wealth of wish-granting cows, bulls, mules to carry heavy loads. All this good fortune bring here, fortune of fine lovely silk, highly priced gold and silver, fertile soil and the 6 grains, precious gems and ornaments, food and drink of every kind. Bring them here as good fortune, promise fortune from above. God's go spirits, wealth, midway, Nagas wishing gem below, three worlds, gods and humans, well, bring them here as good fortune, Lupakbo's body fortune, Zambuling's holy dharma, most fortunate wealth, Ramen Yen's longevity, beings life, strength, and merit, of all lands grant their fortune, Indian kings religious might, Chinese kings all reaching force, Persian kings fortune and wealth, the army of King Gesar, the courage of Ukarhor, as good fortune bring them here, fortune of the endless sky, fortune of the stable grounds, perfect wealth, food and clothing, radiant splendor, riches, strength, armor, weapons, miracle powers, monks who uphold the scriptures, fortune of brave and strong boy, beautiful and virtuous girls, pure offspring, please all of these, bring them here as good fortune, like sun and moon's eastern rise, eastern long life fortune come, like the swirling southern clouds, southern long life fortune come, like enshrouding mist, western long life fortune please come here, like a river flows northern, long life fortune please come here, like rain falling from above, upper long life fortune come, like six grains ripening below, lower long life fortune come, fortune of melodious praise come, like turquoise dragons roar, fortune of heart students line come, like dazzling star garlands, whom Hri eastern Vajra Dakini bring life's fortune pacify, disease, demons, hindrances, southern jewel Dakini bring resources, food and wealth, expand life, merit, riches, western lotus Dakini summon power to tame all things, samsara and nirvana, northern action Dakini bring the four enlightened acts, annihilate, hinders evil, wealth gods with your retinue, bring here all the world's fortune, bring auspicious objects here, bring fortunate objects here, always remain at this place, and make these fortunes steadfast, potentize life substances, and at this place protect well, please remain firm, unchanging, grant eternal life city, grant endless treasure city, grant wealth and merit city, grant two cities, let them be accomplished spontaneously, Sarva city, Allah, music. Page 90. Om, Ahum, three Kayas, Lama, deities of longevity, Dakinis of Uddiyana, an assembly of wealth gods, please bestow the four empowerments upon me and other fortunate disciples. Being bestowed with the supreme form empowerment upon my body, may I attain the indestructible Vajra body. Being bestowed with the supreme speech empowerment upon my speech, may I attain the power of Brahma's 60 melodies. Being bestowed with supreme mind empowerment upon my mind, may I attain power over the unborn simplicity. May I obtain the essence kaya empowerment, the ultimate empowerment that is the spontaneous presence of the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the Guru's three kayas, which causes the three poisons to manifest as the three kayas. May I obtain the empowerment of the long life deities of the five families, which causes the 5 poisons to manifest as the 5 aspects of primordial wisdom. May I obtain the empowerment of the Dakinis of Uddiyana, by which the body of deathless primordial wisdom is attained. May I obtain the empowerment of white Zambala Yabyum, which effortlessly and spontaneously accomplishes ordinary and sublime cities. May I obtain the empowerment of wealth gods and treasure lords, which perfects the abundance of food, wealth, and riches. May I obtain the empowerment of Mahamudra, which liberates from samsara's pain. May I obtain the empowerment of self-knowing Dharmakaya, which is the primordial purity of the delusional perceptions of unawareness. May I obtain the empowerment of the great completion, which is the primordial purity of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana. May I obtain the empowerment of the great middle way, which naturally liberates the 4 extremes of eternalism and nihilism. May I obtain the empowerment of the perfection of wisdom, which is inexpressible, being beyond words and thoughts. May I obtain the empowerment of total openness, free from fixation, naturally liberates dualistic propensities. May I obtain the empowerment of immortal life, which is the unchanging expanse of awareness. May I obtain the empowerment of awakening within one lifetime, which is the endless accumulation of merit. Hum Hri. The Guru, who is the 3 Kayas, deities of longevity, Dakinis of Uddiyana, an assembly of wealth gods, my own body, speech, and mind, this life, all solid and substantial matter, all these dissolve like clouds dissolving in the sky, or water pouring into water. Without reference point, into the all-pervasive open space of Ah. Within a state of non-distraction, rest at ease. In the unborn basic space of phenomena, let go of everything. In a state of simplicity, remain free and open. Seal with steadfastness. Samaya, seal, seal, seal. Hum Hri, by this virtue of timelessness beyond the 3 times, may all beings be relieved from the suffering of poverty, hunger, and thirst, and may all wishes and enjoyments be fulfilled. At last, may they swiftly attain the most excellent state of the Master Padmasambhava and Amitabha in the Buddha field great bliss, and reach the ground of no return. Okay, should we stop there? Or?
We'll do the Dewa Chen prayer 3 times for Keen's mother. Page 34. Imaho no shar sanje nang wan daye dang yisu jo duk je chen po dang yondu sempa tu chen dob nam la sanje jang sem pak me kor ji kur ding hi no shar
Chok de ke dangi mon lam ramali. Chok ju sanje jang sem dam che. King ek made rebar jinji lab tu so. Dayan taum pansadriya buddha nayi so. Emaho no shar sanjay na wadaye dong. Nisu jo wo tu chi chen bo dong. Yundu sembu tu chen tub nam la. Sanjay jan sem pad mi kor ji kor. Diki no shar bak du me pa yi. Dewa chen chi jawa shin kam der. Dak chen di ne se po jerman tak. Ke wa chen chi bar ma chu paru. De ru ke ne nang de shal to shok. Diki da chi mon lam ta pa di. Chok tu sanjay jan sem tam cheng hi. Gig me drum parjin ji lab tu so. Dayan taum pansadriya awa buddha naye so. Emaho no shar sanjay na wadaye dang. Yesu jo won chi chen bo dang. Yundu sempu tu chen tub nam la. Sanjay jan sem pad mi kor ji kor. Diki no shar bak tu me pa yi. Dewa chen chi jawa shin kam der. Dak jen di ne se po jerman tak. Ke wa jen ji bar ma chu paru. De ru ke ne nang de shal to shok. De ki da ji mon lam da ba di. Chok ji sanjay jan sem tam ching hi. Gig me drum bar jin ji lab tu so. Dayan taum pansadriya awa buddha yesu. Om mani me me hungry. Om mani 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 me hungry. Ne wani ne du nak. Chen reze kwang drum jur chik. Drowa jigang maluma. De sala gopar shuk.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lama Dawa. And Gretchen, when does Kempo come back? We think he's coming back Wednesday, but it's been changing. It's been a little bit flexible depending on who he's with and where he's going. But he's had a good trip, I can tell. And he was actually staying with Megan and Sultram in Manhattan a little bit last week, a few days last week. So we've had good contact with him. That's good. Okay, any other announcements, Gretch, you'd like? Tuesday's Roger Kalaya. Wednesday it was with online only is the Vajra recitation, continuing with Lama Dawa. Yeah, we think Kempo's back Sunday, but we'll put out an announcement, I'm sure. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Thank you all. Enjoy the sunshine if it's still out there, and see you next time.